Welcome to the Eat Away Kidney Stones podcast. I'm your host, registered dietitian and kidney stone expert, Melanie Betts. After learning a ton about kidney stones and helping people prevent stones at the University of Chicago, I was fed up with all the terrible advice people were finding online. So I decided to do something about it. The Kidney Dietitian was born. This podcast is for people who want to learn what actually works to prevent kidney stones and still enjoy life, eating, and their favorite foods. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the 29th episode of the Eat Away Kidney Stones podcast. I'm your host, registered dietitian and kidney stone expert, Melanie Betts, and today we have a very good question from a listener about when you can get a 24-hour urine test. So let's listen in.
Hi, I have a question about when one can get the 24-hour urine test. My urologist tells me that I cannot get it until I have no more kidney stones, because having kidney stones and getting the test would skew the results. Well, I've been waiting now for over a year, and he's not sure whether or not I still have a kidney stone, because the ultrasound and the x-ray are not conclusive. So I'm waiting to do another CT scan to see if I still have kidney stones. So my question is, long-winded here, can I get a 24-hour urine test now, and will it be useful, even though I may still have kidney stones? Thanks.
Thank you, Jan, so much for that question. I've actually been getting this question or these comments quite a bit, and so I am very grateful that you took the time to submit it, because I think it is a really, really good question and something that I am actually dying to answer on our podcast. So in your situation, in short, you can absolutely get a 24-hour urine test. There is pretty much no reason that you should not get a 24-hour urine test, or there's pretty much no times when you can't get a 24-hour urine test. And I'll talk a little bit more about when those times are, of course, later in this episode. But just because you have kidney stones in you currently is not a contraindication to getting a urine test. There is absolutely no reason why you can't get this urine test when you have kidney stones. This is something that hundreds of people truly that I've worked with do. This is something that the doctors that I worked with at the University of Chicago did all the time, for kind of exactly the reasons that you mentioned. So if we waited to get a urine test before people were stone free, people would never be working on prevention. We would have no idea what we could do to prevent stones. We could be waiting forever, because honestly, you could have those kidney stones in your kidney for the rest of your life and missing tons of opportunity, tons of time when you could be working on preventing more stones from forming or preventing those current stones from getting any bigger. So basically, your urologist is mistaken, and having stones is definitely not a reason to not get that 24-hour urine test. It doesn't skew the results. They're exactly the same as they would be if you didn't have stones. Yeah, it's totally fine. So I would go back with this information. He can email me if he'd like, or he or she can email me if they'd like. And I'm happy to talk about my experience with doing this, because hundreds, if not thousands of people that I know have gotten that test when they have kidney stones in them. So I did mention that there's a few times when you don't want to get a urine test, and I want to make sure that I mention these, because that is, of course, important as well. So the first time is immediately after you have a kidney stone removal. I think that a lot of urologists want to wait a month or two after you've had lithotripsy or something like that to remove a stone or break up a stone, just because we want to kind of wait for things to settle down, and I think that does make sense. So if you have just had a stone removal surgery or procedure of some sort, I think that waiting does make sense. The other time when you don't want to have it is actually when you're pregnant or breastfeeding, just because the hormones that are involved in pregnancy and breastfeeding really, really significantly change your urine chemistry. Most notably, your urine calcium is going to be super high because that's just the way it is. That's what your body's doing. And so getting a urine test during these times doesn't really make sense because it's just not going to be reflective of sort of the bigger picture. So there's certainly maybe times when doctors want to get it, want to get a 24-hour urine test when you are pregnant or when you are breastfeeding. So I certainly don't think it's useless, but for my purposes of kind of this like, long-term kidney stone prevention plan, it does probably make sense to wait until after you've had the baby or babies. In my case, I had twins a year and a half ago, if you don't know. So I always like to say maybe you've had more than one baby. And also after you're done breastfeeding, because the hormones involved in breastfeeding also can kind of mess with those results. There's not like a set amount of time after you have had the baby or after you're done breastfeeding, but the doctors that I've worked with do say to wait quite some time, like maybe 4 to 6 months or so until after, everything is over, just to make sure that your hormones settle and everything kind of gets back to normal. So that is another time when it maybe doesn't make sense to get a urine test. Another time is just kind of when you're sick. And this is actually kind of related to not getting a urine test right after a stone removal procedure, because you don't generally feel your best for a while right after those, unfortunately. And that is just when you're sick. So, and that is only because you're not going to be eating normally, and your body chemistry is not going to be normal when you're sick. We tend to eat very differently. We tend to eat a lot less. We tend to maybe drink a lot less. We may be taking medications that could be messing with our urine chemistry. So if you aren't feeling top notch, even if it's just like a cold or something like that, or certainly if you have, if you're hospitalized or are very sick for any reason, that's not a great time to get a 24-hour urine test, simply because it's not going to be reflective of the bigger picture of what's really going on long term, likely less reflective of what your urine chemistry looked like when you were forming stones. And so just wait till you're feeling better and you're eating normally, sort of back to your normal routine, back to normal life, to get that urine test. And with that, I'm going to end this episode. I know that's a really short one, but this was such an important question, Jan. So again, thank you for submitting this question, because I really have been getting this question a lot more lately. And so I am excited to offer an answer for you. In short, you can absolutely get that urine test. Do not wait. You're wasting time, honestly. Get that urine test. So with that, I'm going to close this episode, but just a reminder that if you have a question that you would love for me to answer on the Eat Away Kidney Stones podcast, please submit it. I'm always looking for great questions to answer. You can head to speakpipe.com/listener question, and I will also put that link in the show notes so you can go right to it easily. And you just need to record it, and I may choose it and answer it on the podcast. I get a lot of questions, and some of them maybe have already been answered, but I'm always looking for great new ones. And so I hope to hear from you soon, and I hope that you have a wonderful day, and that I see you next time on the Eat Away Kidney Stones podcast. Thank you for listening to today's episode. For more help with kidney stones, check out my website, www.thekidneydietitian.org. For more personalized help from me, check out my online course, Kidney Stone Nutrition School. VIP enrollment includes help directly from me. I can't wait to see you there and help you prevent kidney stones. Have a great day.